Is this 9-year-old Olympus camera any good? Let's check it out. I got this camera a few weeks ago and been using it for my street photography. I got it for two reasons. First of all, this is one of those hidden gems of a camera that Olympus has made over the years. And it will fit nicely to my small collection of quirky and interesting Olympus cameras. But the second reason is that I am actually going to use this camera. Before we go back outside, a few words about the specs of this camera. It has a 12 megapixel sensor, a fixed zoom equivalent of 28mm to 112mm. The fastest aperture is at 28mm f1.8 and at 112mm it's f2.5. I think it's pretty good and I like that it is quite fast. The sensor is quite small. It has an image stabilizer and I can get roughly about a second long exposures with this. Not quite, but almost. If I'm really careful and really, holding the camera steady and doing everything right, I can get about 1 second exposure, which is quite good. It has a tilting screen, but no EVF. I cannot photograph without a proper EVF, so I had to get the EV4 for this camera. And you need to have the latest firmware in order to use the EV4, which I think makes this camera a lot more usable. And it's a pity that Olympus took the port away, so you cannot use this with the newer pen cameras, for example. But the funny thing is that you can actually attach this EV4 to EM1, which is kind of crazy. Why would you do that? But you can if you want, and I might try that on my EM1. And now let's go back outside and see how this camera performs. I came to this place that will be one of the locations in our workshop with Matti Sulanto. This is known for its graffitis, and this part is totally new. It's brand new railway station, hotel, shopping mall, and then we have the older part over there on this side. As you can see, it looks totally different. It's totally different era. And as I said, there are lots and lots of graffitis, and really nice ones too. So let's go make some images of those. Did you see any interesting street art? What was your favorite? And if you want to photograph those too, then join us to our workshop next August, the first week of August. Me and Matti Sulanto will have a workshop here in Helsinki, and there are still few spots left. And if you want to have some more information, check out the link in the description down below for more info, how to sign up and, what's included and everything you need to know about the workshop. It's going to be a great week of photography here in Helsinki. I usually like to make some grungy images on places like this where there is a lot of concrete architecture, concrete buildings, and a bit rough neighborhoods. But this time I wanted to show the colors of these magnificent street arts and graffitis. I think they came out really nice with XZ-2. And I have set the camera so that C1 is for color photographs and C2 is for black and white. But what about the image quality? Of course, it's a small sensor and high ISOs and a small sensor, well, not the best combination. But we have to say that today's software like DxO Pure Raw, for example, is so good that, as you saw, those images are almost clean. And I did use some higher ISO also, like this one from a previous trip that I took to the same place and photographed in the evening. And that's one of the reasons that I actually got this camera, is that it has the what do you call, the modules for this camera in the DxO software. And this also works with DxO PhotoLab 5, which I also used for image editing this time. I normally use Lightroom, but I will start using more PhotoLab 5 because it gives better results than Lightroom, especially with this older camera. There is a Black Friday, or actually Black Week, deal on these softwares. You get 50% off also for upgrades. So if you have PhotoLab 4 example and you want to get the 5, you will get the 50% off. And if you have the older versions of other softwares too, like the Film Pack 5 or the Viewpoint, I think it's 2, and now it's Film Pack 6 and Viewpoint 3, that is also included in the deal. So 50% off of everything. That's a good deal. And as you saw, the images that I took with this tiny little compact camera, it is magnificent when you run through the great noise reduction from DxO Labs software. But I will put a link in the description, so if you're interested in that deal, go get it. It's only valid until 29th of this month, November 2021. And what about you? Do you use any old digital or film cameras that you like to use on your everyday shooting? Is there any vintage camera that you like to use? Please let us know in the comments down below. One of the most important things in a camera is, of course, usability. If it's not easy and comfortable to use, it doesn't matter how good the image quality is. And this one, I think, is quite good in that sense. The only thing that I had to do is I got this VF4 viewfinder that is that you just adjust to the top of the cold shoe or the hot shoe. And because it only has the LCD back screen here, and I'm just cannot be without a proper EVF when I'm photographing. And then another thing is that it's quite cold now and I should have gloves on, but it's a bit hard to use with my gloves on, so that's why I don't have them, even though hands are getting a bit cold. So it's not perfect, and it is a bit too small for my hands, but I want the small camera, and that's why I don't really mind this being a bit too small. But there's one really excellent thing on this camera, is that this ring here can be used for many different things. You can use it for aperture, you can use it for zoom, you can use it for focusing, and what I use it for is exposure compensation. The only downside on that is that it is a bit slow. It takes a bit time. It's not very fast if I'm changing the aperture compensation, the exposure compensation. It will take a little while, so it's not the fastest. And of course, the same goes with everything that I do with this, that this is a bit slow. And that, of course, it's 9-year-old camera, so that was kind of expected that it's not the fastest on the market. But the style that I'm doing with my street photography, the speed of the camera is not my main concern. All in all, I'm quite happy that I got this camera, and I will be carrying it with me all times and use it for street photography and, all around photography. Maybe if there's going to be some traveling in the future, I will be using that and taking this with me. I'm really, really happy about this camera, and let's put that back so we can get the sound properly. And here is a video about the workshop, and the other video is about quirky Olympus cameras. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.